You know, obviously it was an ordeal that lasted 5 years, and it was pretty outrageous what was done to me. And I think that there's a lot for the Attorney General to answer for, because this was a targeted hit. It was a political assassination attempt on me, and there was no crime. There was no justification for this, and the jury saw that very quickly and returned the fastest verdict that my two lawyers, who were outstanding, Ben Hill and Tom Capezza, that's the fastest verdict they've ever seen in their entire career. And what does that tell you? And we never even put up a single defense witness because we didn't need to, because there was no case. For the jury to recognize that in a half an hour, or after listening to the testimony of the Attorney General's witnesses, a few of whom perjured themselves on the stand, including the Attorney General's own investigator, for a jury to recognize that, and for law school graduates that are assistant attorney generals to not recognize that and to pursue this witch hunt is despicable, and it's outrageous, and they should hang their head in shame, and at the very least they should apologize to me. But I can guarantee you Tish James doesn't have the integrity or dignity to do that. In fact, she doubled down, said she was disappointed in the result, and proud of their efforts to hold Mr. McLaughlin accountable. Accountable for what? I'm innocent. So instead of recognizing that, she doubles down. Despicable. She's corrupt and she's biased. And I would say there's an element of racism in here as well, because she is absolutely targeting Republicans, and I think there's an element of racism as well. And just because she's black doesn't mean she's not racist.
Can you explain that more?
Yeah, I can explain it more. She tends to target white people, and she tends to target white Republican males especially. She's got a lot to answer for here. If there's any way, if there's any agency that investigates an attorney general, she should be investigated, because this is a 5-year witch hunt, 30,000 pages. They were pouring through my life since well before I was ever in politics. I didn't enter politics until January 1st, 2011. Apparently, they were back into my personal accounts to 2005. Now, how is that justified in any way? The good news was they found nothing, absolutely nothing, in 30,000 pages of documents except for one transaction, which was 100% ethical, 100% legal, 100% honest, and they somehow tried to turn that into a crime. That's despicable. And if she has clearly weaponized her office for political gain, and there's no way that that should be done to any American citizen, and they were gleefully trying to put me in jail on something that they knew was not a crime. I don't know how they don't have to answer for that.
We were also wondering what happens with your attorney fees. Is there any way to get those back?
No. If I was still in state office, if I was in the assembly still, then yeah, I'd be suing to get my fees back, which are large. And ironically, they're coming after me for campaign spending that was completely legal, and it's also completely legal for me to use my campaign to defend myself against their false charge. So I can't get my fees back unless there's some way to sue the Attorney General, which, you know, why bother, right? And so the county's not going to pay them, the taxpayer's not going to pay them. It's a sad chapter in New York's history, and there's no way this is acceptable behavior for an Attorney General. No way. And even when she's proven wrong, even when they're essentially laughed out of court, she still doubles down and insists basically that they were correct, and she's proud of their actions. There's nothing to be proud of here, nothing. This was an absurd abuse of justice. It's prosecutorial misconduct. It's absolutely abuse of power. And if they can do that to a sitting, duly elected official, what message does that send to the people of New York? The message that was sent is clear. You better shut up and you better play ball with the far left, or we're coming after you. And if we have to make it up, we don't care. And how they put their heads on the pillow at night, that's on them. But I don't know how they deal with themselves. I don't know how they live with themselves, knowing that they were targeting an innocent man.
What did you think about their characterization of you as this like Oz figure that was orchestrating this, pulling the strings behind the scenes?
Well, first of all, it's pathetic. Their own records, again, they had 30,000 pages of documents. They lied on the stand. So that's just completely untrue characterization. They knew it, but it didn't matter to them. They lied. Chris Baines, the assistant attorney general, lied in his closing statements to the jury, repeatedly lied. So when a witness gets up there and raises their hand to tell the truth and nothing but the whole truth, but then you have an attorney general lying to the jury, that's not justice. And it's getting to the point where, you know, the scales of justice are Lady Liberty and she's blindfolded. Blindfolded when it comes to a Democrat, looking through a rifle scope when it's a Republican. 30,000 pages again, and you found nothing. Nothing except one transaction that you didn't like. But a first-year law student could have told you it was 100% legal and legitimate. And look no further than Brian Benjamin, who was the lieutenant governor, left in disgrace. The feds went after him and ended up dropping the charges. Okay, that's fine. But what never happened was an investigation by Tish James into the taking, the actual taking of $26,000 from his campaign account to pay for a wedding. That was blatantly illegal. But like she always does, because she's biased and corrupt and racist, she ignored it. She never even investigated. So when it's a Democrat, oh, it's just a mistake. Just pay it back. But he only paid it back after he got called out when he was lieutenant governor. He had no intention of paying that money back. If he was still sitting in the New York State Senate, he still would have taken that $26,000. I think it's a wake-up call to the people of New York. This should be a national story about what was done here, because it is a glaring, shining example of the weaponization of the Attorney General's office to target an American citizen who was innocent.
So
What's next is this. I'm back to work for the people of Rensselaer County. They've entrusted me with this office. I'm honored by that, and we continue to do our job. And honestly, if you take a look at what this administration has achieved in 5 years with this crushing burden of falsehood hanging over our heads, you know, taxes that are 27% lower at the county tax rate than when I took office, well, close to 2/3 of our roads repaved, averaging 40 miles a year. A massive surplus, which allowed us to cut those taxes and allows us to buy new DPW equipment and allows us to pave those roads. The best county bond rating in this county's history, strongest it's ever been. And a brand new senior center, a brand new building that we've purchased so that we can provide better service, a rehab of our existing county facilities. Nothing but good things have happened, and all of that took place while I was being targeted and attacked nonstop.
Very
good. Straightforward.
I think you said it.
Yeah, I mean, it's despicable.